And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final day of the Festival of Startups. It's been a fantastic fortnight with so much content and so many fantastic speakers, and we're really excited to, provide you with all of this content around starting up and scaling up your business. And today, this afternoon, we're joined by Ollie Whittle from Swarm Social, and he's going to be talking everything you need to know about spending money on social media and how to get your message across, and also how the whole system works. So if you're looking at starting up a business and you want to understand how you can use social media in your business, then this session is definitely for you. Before I invite Ollie on to speak, I just want to remind you all that we have one final session for today, and it's one that we're really proud to have. It's from the CEO of Boohoo, and it's Adam Kamani, and he's going to be talking with my colleague Alex all about how he started his business in clothing, and how his whole family, who are all in the clothing business and are from a lot of the famous names that you probably would have heard of, online retailers, including I Saw It First, Pretty Little Thing, and all of those brands that are very well known. So fantastic speaker to end the day and end a fantastic fortnight of sessions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ollie. And if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. Do get involved in the conversation. And over to you, Ollie.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for tuning in, taking the time on your Friday. Obviously, it's Black Friday today, so hopefully anyone who's running an online store is having a good and busy day today. I basically want to look at Facebook and Instagram paid advertising and just give you some pointers on sort of what you can do to run the best ads whilst you setting them up, whilst you're looking to launch them, and whilst the ads are running, how you can get the best performance out of them. So I did have some slides, but the slides seem to be causing a bit of a problem at the moment when I try and put them up on the screen. So I'm just going to talk through the slides, and if anyone wants to get a copy of them, more than happy to email them across. I can also try and put some of the content in the messages as well. Okay, so let's look at starting your Facebook ads. When I say Facebook, I mean Instagram as well, because it's run from the same platform, and obviously Facebook owns Instagram. And these are three key components which a lot of companies don't have set up before they start, and it basically will damage your performance before right from the beginning. The first one is have that Facebook pixel installed. So basically, you want a pixel that's going to a bit of code that's on your e-commerce store or any site that you're running ads to, and it's going to track the performance of those ads. It's going to tell you how many add to carts you're getting, how many purchases you're getting, how much people are then spending on your website, and it's also going to enable you to retarget customers as well, people who have come onto the website and then not made a purchase. You can send them a follow-up advert. So really important to get that pixel installed. Make sure you've tested it as well, and you can use a Google Chrome extension to make sure that it's running on your site. So don't even bother running ads if that's not installed, because you won't be able to track if your spend is being effectively spent on the ads. The second one is, sounds a bit cheeky, but have you spied on your competitors' ads? And basically, from Facebook ads library, you can see all the ads that your competitors are running. And ultimately, what you want to check is what ads that they've been running for the longest and are still running now, because that means they're super profitable. So have a look at, and I don't mean literally pinching all the content and the creative and everything like that, but it'll nonetheless give you a really strong idea of what's working. And you can do that for like small competitors, but even like some of the biggest brands as well. And as I say, looking at an ad that they've launched yesterday doesn't really give you much indication because you don't even know if that's profitable. But if like we're now in November and they've been running an ad from August, and it'll tell you that on the ads library, then that definitely suggests that that ad's been successful. So try and take some ideas from that and see if you can sort of run something similar. And then my third point, which is really crucial in running any ads, is be really on top of your numbers before you even get started. So what's your targeted cost per acquisition? But most importantly, what's your targeted return on ad spend? So, you need to be able to work out if it's cost per acquisition, for instance, like have you broken it down? Is your product worth £30, for instance, and you want £10 in cost of goods, £10 in ad spend, and £10 in profit? But also your break-even point. So your break-even point at that point. And then, so let's say it's 200% return on ad spend. So every £1 you put in, you get £2 back, or is it 300%? Be really careful with that number, because what that's going to do is when you come to the time of scaling, so you've tested your ads and then you're like, right, okay, I'm going to invest more budget. You know what your return on ad spend is and what your target is. And anything over that target, you're making profit. So any ads that are performing over that, you want to add more budget to it. And then that's really how you scale up and down and turn off ads all the time. It's not necessarily about cost per acquisition, because someone might come on and your targeted acquisition is like £10, but your ads are running at £20 cost per acquisition, but they're spending a lot more money when they're actually coming on. When they're coming on to your site. So make sure that that's really clear before you run anything. So I'm now going to move on to the actual setup itself. So knowing your audience is key. Do you know their ages in terms of who's most likely to buy from you? Do you know their gender? Do you know their interests? But also importantly, do you know other brands that they like? And do you know where they like to shop? Really trying to build this persona of your customer so that you can make sure you targeted all those different interests. And some of the best ads that I've run, for like a footwear company, for instance, the best performing ads haven't been people where I've targeted shoes. The best performing ads have been people where I've targeted interests in like supermarkets that they might buy from, because they're that type of customer, whether it be Waitrose to Lidl's or Tesco's. It's finding out or thinking about where your customer is going to be active and then targeting them as a result of that. And then the second point on this is basically a Facebook ad is interruption advertising, in terms of when someone is flicking through that Instagram or Facebook, they're not expecting your ad to come. They are not necessarily always thinking that they're about to make a purchase from your site, 30 seconds later before the even ad has revealed itself. So what you want to do is you want to create an ad in terms of its headline, in terms of its picture or image, in terms of its primary text, the description as well. The headline is probably one of the most important in the photos. You want to make sure that when they come through and scroll past your ad stands out. And that's really important, that you get all your like USPs across. Are you offering free shipping, free returns? Do you do money back guarantee? Do you donate to charities? These types of things. And really make sure that you get all those points across, and make sure that you would buy from the ad that you're serving someone else. You're listing the USPs, great, bright, descriptive creatives. So make sure that you focus on that, because that's a really important thing. And then the third one, in terms of actually setting up the ad, is about using your data. So do you have like an email database which you can upload and share with Facebook, and ask Facebook to go and find customers like those that have already bought from you? Those are really powerful ads. Do you have other data like people who have purchased from your website or have visited your website or have added to their cart? All of that data we can share to Facebook and say, look, this is the type of person that is interacting on my website and making purchases. Please go and find people who are similar to that. And those are lookalike audiences. And those are really powerful ads. And Facebook has got stronger and stronger in terms of finding customers that look like people who have already purchased from you. And also the other thing as well is like, think about before you're launching that ad, like what's your price point? Is it an impulse purchase or is it going to be a considered purchase? So I would say an impulse purchase is below £30, 30 to 50. Certainly over that £30, you're starting, people are starting to consider their purchase. Definitely over £50, people are considering that purchase. That means that they're not necessarily just going to see an ad, click onto the website and hit buy. Over £50, they're probably going to go away, look at some other websites, have a think about it, talk to their partner about it, then come back and purchase. And what that means is that your retargeting ads are then going to be the best ads that you can run. So it's all about collecting as much data as you can and setting those ads up with either that they are going to buy now or they're going to buy in a subsequent ad that you're going to serve them. And again, it's utilizing that data like as much as you can. So I hope some of this makes sense so far and is helpful. I'm going to move on to, I'm going to do a fairly short slideshow just so that we can do some questions afterwards if people want to. But I want to share like some top tips at the moment that I'm seeing work very well. One of them is like schedule your ads at 5 a.m. And this is a fairly standard tip anyway. But the reason for that is that then you get a full day of spend. So if you've set a budget at like 10, 20 pounds a day, for instance, you don't want that ad to launch, let's say in the afternoon at 3 p.m. because all Facebook's going to do is try and race through that budget as quickly as possible to make sure that it's spent the 20 pounds that you've allocated it. And it will almost throw that ad in different places, which is not necessarily where you want it to be placed. At 5 a.m., launching them, scheduling them for 5 a.m., for instance, you get a full day spend, and Facebook is serving that ad to where it thinks and considers the best place possible and spreads the budget out evenly. So that's quite a handy tip to use. Really simple one. Send yourself a test of the ad, just checking for any like typos or any links going to the wrong place. Like sometimes if you've got a carousel ad up, then you might have a picture of a product with a link being served to a different product. Sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes Facebook do some strange things where they copy links through from like other carousels which you've got running and then pre-populate it in the website link, so you end up sending it to the wrong places. So just send yourself a test and then kind of see if everything stacks up. Last thing you want to be doing is having a great ad and then sending them to the wrong website or having a typo or something like that. And then thirdly, in terms of like the actual like cost per acquisition and the ROAS that we talked about, I'd say like let the ad run so that it's a multiple of 2 of your cost per acquisition. So if you want to get a purchase for £10, let it run up to £20. And if you've got no purchases, then turn that off. And then similarly, if you're looking to scale your ads, wait until you've got 5 purchases on one ad set, and then start adding budget at probably about 25% of the original budget every 48 hours if you're continuing to see the correct return on ad spend and correct cost per acquisitions. So scaling's like quite a difficult game sometimes. Facebook changes how the best ways to scale, but what I'm seeing at the moment is once you've had 5 purchases on an ad set, then start adding budget and then make sure there's a spread of like 48 hours, because ultimately Facebook needs to work out with that extra budget that you've given where it's going to find that new audience, and it needs to kind of do that slowly. So if you were going to go for £5 per day to £100 per day, it kind of wouldn't know what to do with the extra spend, and it would ultimately be trying to spend it in places like, it would be throwing it to new audiences, which might not necessarily be the best audience. So yeah, turn them off if it's 2x your cost per acquisition and no sales. Scale them up after 5 and add 25% budget of your original budget. And that has been a really efficient way of scaling. So beginning of this year, a company we were working with went from like sort of £5,000 a month revenue to £250,000 a month within 6 months. Lockdown did help in the sense that it was a lockdown product as such. It was home decor. But that was purely from using the method that I've just explained, like adding 25% every 3 days, if it was still within the targeted return on ad spend. And then some tips for your sort of Christmas ads in terms of things that Facebook have brought in recently, and really sort of focusing on, and it's changed slightly how the ads are run. So some of these bits have been running a bit longer, but they're really focusing on these things now. One of them is to be mindful of the text before the read more fold. So basically, you want to make sure now in those first 2 sentences, before it says read more and then it has the rest of the text, that you've got your key points into those first 2 sentences. So what you really want to display or share with your audience, whether it be lead gen or e-commerce sales, make sure that first few words are really compact. So whereas before you could show quite a long ad and it would show that all as it came through on your feed, it cuts it off now. Now, the only thing I'd say to that as well is be super careful how your sentences get cut off. So I've seen 2 bad experiences of this. One of them was mine, one of them was someone else's, where they were saying that they had they were rated excellent on Trustpilot, for instance. And what they tried to show was 5 stars, but because they hadn't previewed it properly, it only showed 2 stars, and then the rest were under the read more. So ultimately, it looked like they were advertising that they only had 2 stars out of 5. So be careful of that and test it. And then the other one, which was a bit more controversial, was that they company were talking about it was like an appetizer to cocktails, basically, something that you sprinkled on top to make the cocktails taste nicer. But unfortunately, the fold a cut off tail. So you got it reading something very different, and they got a lot of comments on it quite quickly, which is great for engagement, but not necessarily what they were trying to advertise. So yeah, be careful on that one. And then the second one is that, again, some of these are not necessarily just happened in the last few days, but certainly for what things to think about at the moment. And it is that have a look at big brands and the ads they're running, and not only because they've got higher budgets and stuff like that, but also because Facebook, in many occasions, like the footwear company Allbirds, or like Nike, or McDonald's, people like that, Facebook are actually running their ads for them. So it's not necessarily a marketing team in Nike, or they're certainly working alongside them and telling them pretty much what to do. So what you'll see is things shift quicker in an ads like Nike or McDonald's, for instance, because Facebook is acting on data that it knows works. So sometimes, I don't know if you guys have had one, but like an account manager at Facebook, and they're making recommendations on like how to run ads and where you can get the best results and stuff like that. Well, they're actually getting their information from the people who are running the ads in Nike. So Facebook are running Nike's ads and then saying, this is what we're seeing is working, and then passing that down the chain to the Facebook marketing experts, who are then talking to the smaller companies. But ultimately, if you want to be on top of like what's working very well, look at those ads that they're running and do something similar. And ultimately, you'll know if they're working because they've got lots of the same types of ads. So to give you an example, it used to be that 45 seconds to a minute videos worked really well. And that longer stretch of video worked really well because you could retarget people who had watched 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 50 seconds, 50%, 75%, 95%. Then you did lookalike audiences off all of those as well. And the bigger brands are not running those types of ads anymore. They're running much shorter, engaging ads at like 10 to 15 seconds. And now when I speak to the Facebook marketing rep that I have there, they're like, yeah, now we're recommending 10 to 15 seconds. It's more engaging. People's interest doesn't typically last over the 30 seconds. So it's really useful to look at those bigger brands and see what they're doing because Facebook are running those ads. And then third one, and this is a massive thing that's happening at the moment. I don't know whether you guys are suffering from it, but have a backup access to your ad accounts, your business managers, all of those types of access to your ads. I don't know what's happening with Facebook at the moment. They had an algorithm update. Basically, the algorithm was supposed to detect people which were running ads that were against their policies, but it's basically thrown out everyone or a lot of people, banned people's profiles. I've got my profile banned at the moment. Advertising accounts have been taken down, and it's really difficult to understand what's happening. So yeah, try and have someone, whether it be your partner in the business or outside the business, and then just make sure you've got that access, those backup access. The worst thing is if you've got loads of ads running and you can't access them. I think you can turn them off if you've got if you're banned, your ad account's banned, but you definitely can't duplicate them. And during like Black Friday at the moment, this is like it gets worse leading up to Black Friday. So last year they had loads of problems, and this year they've had even more problems. So yeah, you really don't want to be locked out. That's just a nightmare for everyone. Yeah, so I said I'd sort of keep everything relatively short. I will offer, I'm really happy to offer sort of a free audit for anyone who's running ads or wants to run ads. And yeah, I'll just sort of, you can add me to your ad account and I can go in and have a look, see what you're running, and then make some suggestions on that. Yeah, I'm more than happy to have a chat with anyone. I'll put in the message now, like the link. There you go. And then also, this is my email. And then feel free to get in contact, and I'll be happy to have a look at your ads and see what suggestions I can make. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask, and hopefully I can help.
Thanks for that, Ollie. Really informative. So we've got some questions here. Are there any GDPR considerations for sharing email lists with Facebook for ads?
So the GDPR considerations lie with you and basically how you've attained that data. Facebook says that they're just a processor. So, you know, they're not they will say, as you upload that data, have you complied with GDPR? How have you got this data? Is it from your own customers? Is it from an agency? Has it been passed to you? So it will ask you a series of questions, but they basically remove any blame from themselves, saying that they're a processor. So that's something that probably sits on your side.
Okay, brilliant. Another question here. I have a Shopify site and a Wix website. Can I add the pixel on both sites?
Yeah, so Shopify site, absolutely you can. I know Shopify a lot better than I do Wix, but on Shopify, you basically go to online store. Then you go to, so you go into your theme, online store, then you go to preferences, and then within preferences, there's a section which says insert your pixel, and basically it's a series of numbers which we can just copy and paste in there, and Shopify is really good. With Wix, I believe you can do it. I'm pretty sure it's not quite as versatile as Shopify. Shopify is like really well linked up to Facebook. Yeah, I'm not sure on that. Shopify, absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. There's another question here. I'm not sure. It came in. Maybe he was talking about something. Is it possible to do this, and how would you advertise an ad for gambling counseling services? We provide consultancy training and individual counseling to business and individuals who may be experiencing issues surrounding workplace gambling, etc.
So, so the question is it possible? Yes, it's possible. You're going to have to be a little bit careful of the terminology you use, because Facebook may just group you into gambling, but you should be able to just run ads targeting the same people, targeting interests or targeting your data. And then I would suggest that, depending on how you want that ad to perform in terms of the call to action, dropping them onto your website, and do you want them to consume some of your information, or do you want them to get in contact? You can have that on your website and collect their details. But I'd say yes with caution, because I know that they're super strict on the terminology, but you might be able to get around that depending on how you word your ad.
Thank you. Can you add pixel on WordPress site, and how do you achieve this? How much do Instagram ads cost in comparison to Facebook?
Okay, yeah, so you can add the pixel onto the WordPress site. There's a plugin for WordPress which is created by Facebook. It's just a matter of downloading that, adding the code, and then it'll connect it to your WordPress site. Do check that everything's running either through your Facebook ad account, that it's running correctly, or use the Google Chrome extension, which you can download, and it will show the pixel active on your site. So definitely check that. And then in terms of the ad spend, so Facebook and Instagram, the ads are run from the same platform because Facebook owns Instagram. And from that platform, you can decide whether you're going to serve your ad on both, or Instagram and Facebook. Personally, I'd recommend that you serve them on both, even if your audience isn't necessarily as active on both. So for instance, a footwear company that I run some ads for, they probably get 95% of their sales from Facebook, but I still serve the ad on Instagram, because Facebook makes a decision where it's best going to find that audience. So it doesn't necessarily spend more on Instagram. It takes a decision itself where your audience is active, but you still might pick up a couple of sales on Instagram, and they can be within your budget. In terms of it being more expensive one than the other, no, not really. The only caveat I'd add to that is that depending on what you're targeting, the age of who you're targeting, it might be expensive, because ultimately Facebook is an auction. So you give it some money, and it puts you into a pot of other people targeting the same thing. So, some terms are going to be more expensive than others, but ultimately, if your creative's really good, and your landing page, your website experience is really good, you'll lower the price. So I wouldn't worry about that too much, in terms of, I would be testing it anyway. And if one is too expensive, then turn it off. But I run them on both.
Brilliant. Just one last question then here. I missed where we can find Pixel and how to install.
Okay, so if you want to find the pixel, then you go to your ad account. Then on your ad account, you will have, I'm literally going to load this up and walk through it as I do it. So let's see if this loads quick enough. Okay, it's taking some time to load on my browser, but basically you go into your ad account, then there will be 3 like the hamburger icon on the top left. Click on that, it will show you 6 options. Then you go to Events Manager. Click on Events Manager, and you either need to set up your pixel, so it'll have no data and say create pixel, and then you'll go through. It'll take you through the steps. So if it's Shopify, for instance, this is your code. This is where you place it. Has it been placed on there? Yes. Test the traffic. Send some traffic. Go and add a cart on your website, and then it will track that sales funnel, and it will tell you whether it's working or not. And then, yeah, if you have already got it installed, if you have got some data on it, then just make sure it's installed correctly by using that Google Chrome extension. If you want me to help you more than that, because I'm trying to do it off memory rather than actually trying to walk through it, then just drop me an email and I'll be very happy to help.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today. If you want to share how people can get in contact with you, and if you could share where people can maybe find a copy of the slides, that would be fantastic. And yeah, really appreciate you coming on. Some really important nuggets in there. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with today before you finish?
I think I would probably say make sure you're backed up, make sure you've got your return on ad spends. Those are the big ones. And also, you know, Facebook can be incredibly profitable once you get it right. So it's worth, if you're looking at it, persevering or using Facebook. It's transformed some businesses that I've worked with. So yeah, I hope it can work for you too. And feel free to get in contact. I'm just going to leave my email address. Like, if I can do anything to help, just let me know.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ollie. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. Second time lucky. Thanks for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. Like I said, we've got a fantastic finisher for this afternoon, and to end this, this fortnight of startup information, we've got Adam Kamani, who's a serial entrepreneur who's looking to disrupt the property market alongside his co-founder Charlotte Kamani. Now, for those of you who don't know, Adam is part of the Kamani family, who are synonymous within the fashion industry and set up brands like Boohoo, I Saw It First, Pretty Little Thing. So if you want to learn from some of the biggest entrepreneurs that have broken the UK business market, make sure you tune into more content from the Festival of Enterprise, the Festival of Startup. It's been a fantastic 2 weeks. We look forward to you attending more of our events. Please do send us your feedback. Tell us if there's other things that we haven't covered throughout these 2 weeks that you want us to cover in future. And we really look forward to engaging with you again soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.